Thank you for joining us. Today, we're speaking with someone that famously compressed an entire theoretical physics degree into a single year, and at 20, scored a perfect 1,000 on the national chemistry exam. Someone whose very presence guarantees you are not the smartest person in the room. I'm talking about Vincent Boucher. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Andrew.
I'm so glad to have you. You achieved so much as a young man. What drove you to push yourself at that pace?
Well, just the pleasure to discover the universe. I mean, you have so much to discover, and I feel that we have so little time. So my first priority was to solve that, to ensure that we don't die. Because if you are going to do something that is meaningful and you are going to die, it seems to be very bad things. So my first priority was to learn about chemistry, learn about medicine, learn about physics, learn about who we are. And so that's why what I really want first with kind of AG alpha and so on is to really solve that, to ensure that we have no disease and that we can live forever. This is what those AI models are doing. They are kind of living forever. You have an AI model, you have an AGI agent, it can clone itself. It's like time does not exist. And you can feel that when you see Alpha Go, for example, from DeepMind in 2016, 2017, defeating Lee Sedol at the Go game. You can see that it acts with a great confidence, like time does not exist. It's
I love
extremely,
that.
it's extremely inspiring. I love that mindset about life. This is how I did live my life. So I decided, even if I did not came from a wealthy family at all, I just managed to never have to work and just have be able to just focus on just studying, doing research on what was the most important subject ever, I think. So this is how I came to the AI. And at first, for me, the AI was kind of statistical physics. So when I did my bachelor degree in physics and also in chemistry. So at the time, the way to do AI, it's kind of the way Geoffrey Hinton, that's why he won the Nobel Prize this year, because of the Boltzmann machine, because of the energy-based model. So Geoffrey Hinton won the Nobel Prize. He's an AI guy, he's a godfather of AI. He won the Nobel Prize in physics this year because of basically of statistical physics. So this is what I was doing in 1991. So when I was studying chemistry, studying physics, and so on, it's like by using that kind of models, I was able to solve pretty much any problem, any situation, even in life, even with humans and so on, just by thinking about thermodynamics, statistical physics, Boltzmann machine, energy-based model, and so on. So I was able in just, for example, 2 lines. So the professor were giving homeworks at university in physics, chemistry, and so on. And usually it will take 5 page, 10 page to come up with the solution to that. I was able to see the solution instantly and just 2 lines of just writing Gibbs free energy models, things like that, solving the problem instantly.
What was the professor's reaction when the expectation was 5 pages to solve and you could solve in 2 lines? How did they react to that?
Well, it is depend on the professor. Some of them that were on my side, because I was the best in chemistry, I did complete the Quebec Order of Chemist competition in 29 minutes, and they were giving 3 hours, and I did score 100% at that, and the highest ever before me was 84%. So I was having professor because of that, the president of Quebec Order of Chemists and so on, the chancellor of Laval University, very much on my side that they were extremely excited about that. So the chancellor invited me to come at his university at my conditions. So you had that kind of professor that were extremely on my side. But you had other professors that were kind of, they wanted just to do their job and they wanted every student to follow the program. So they were kind of annoyed about that. It was kind of, they did not like that. So, but I did not bother about them. So if you want to give me an E for that, I have the right answer. I know how to do it, but I don't have time to waste with you. For me, it's like a lot of people were very pleased and I love them a lot. And other people were like people of no importance at all, were kind of bored about that and annoyed about that. It was kind of disrupting their reality. It's like they were teaching that kind of material for so long. And for them, there was a way to do that problem, and you have no other way that you should do that problem. The fact that I arrived with that kind of solution was kind of disrupting to them. Maybe the way that is AGI is disrupting to the world. maybe at this time. That's why I've been living through, let's say, I'm very familiar with what's happening with the world right now, with AGI, with ASI, because I did live that all my life. But I did live that earlier. So, for example, when I was abandoned in foster family at age 8 at the worst place, it was extremely disruptive. I mean, you lose everything. That's fine now. Now I see that it was the best thing ever to happen to me because it's allowed me to, since you have nothing, you have to just align with the stars.
That's an incredible backstory. You came rocketing out of your youth, blowing people away with essentially taking rigid systems of teaching people and viewing intelligence and doing it your own way. And then in the early 2000s, you worked at the Canadian Space Agency on safety critical systems. So I'm really curious to know, what did that experience teach you about verification and trust that you've carried over into AGI?
Well, it's kind of the same because when you launch a satellite in space, well, you can't get back to fix it. It has to work. When you launch a smart contract on the blockchain, well, it has to work. You have nothing to protect you. And I love that. When you develop AGI for the universe, when you will launch the first ASI, they better work in your favor. So that kind of critical instant, critical moment, I know a lot about them. So I spent all my life preparing for that. I love space, of course. At the time, in year 2000, it was kind of, AI was not working, so it was not working. Well, I mean, it was working theoretically, but it's working in the universe, but it was not working practically. So the best path to follow at the time was a master degree in aerospace engineering, and that was very compelling. So I did that, and so I ended up at Canadian Space Agency doing thermo-optical satellite protection at first, so material science. So developing kind of a coating to protect the satellite against the cold temperatures. So when it's cold, it's capture more of the sunlight, and when you have too much sunlight, then it reflect that sunlight. So intelligent material at the time. Then I managed to help Canadian Space Agency more about strategic planning and so on. And it was a nice experience, but they refused to name me president of Canadian Space Agency because I was not knowing the prime minister at the time. So then
Mm.
I left to create Montreal AI because I love to, it's important to own things. It's important. It's the same with those professors at Laval University and so on that were annoyed. I mean, you don't want to be that kind of people blocking or causing some friction. So it's better than to own, to create your own things. Sometimes just to compare to Canadian Space Agency, you start Montreal AI at the time was kind of very tiny. But it's better to be there and to have the ultimate position to start from scratch. And this is how we can see also with the AI model. If you look at AlphaGo, for example, so you had AlphaGo that beat Lee Sedol 4-1, which was amazing. Then they did develop, but AlphaGo was trained on games of expert humans. Then they developed the year after AlphaGo Zero, trained from scratch. So no human data, only from self play. And AlphaGo Zero did beat AlphaGo 100-0. So exactly what I did. I decided from start from scratch. I was at age 28. I had full of energy. I was in the press and so on. I was so great energy. So I took the risk of risking everything, a career at Canadian Space Agency and so on, or anything on Wall Street and so on, just to focus on developing Montreal AI.
You were on AI in 2003 with Montreal AI, Quebec AI, way before AGI was a buzzword or AI was something on the tip of everyone's tongue at that time. And I really connect with what you're talking about of wanting to own the project that you're working on, maybe not being as subject to, let's say, politics to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And so I'm curious to know, what did you see back then that convinced you that intelligence was going to be maybe an asset for society and not just a product? When you can own it and you can drive the direction, you can decide how it can be used, right?
Exactly. I saw that early, like in 1991. Like I said, I was using that kind of mindset myself. So if you think in terms of mindset, if you think in terms of framework, when I was thinking in terms of framework of energy-based models, thermodynamics, I was able to solve kind of any problem. So I was the artificial intelligence in that case somehow. So for me, that was something that was working. So if it was working in my life, and we see that the president, for example, of LVMH, I think Paul Arnaud, or those kind of billionaire, they manage their empire based on game theory, based on physics. And in fact, game theory is physics applied to economics. So basically, the most successful people in the world that manage their business very well are using that kind of framework. So they're not going as far. So they stop at game theory, which is fine. But if you combine then game theory with energy-based model, with some thermodynamics and so on, then you get much more. So, but you are able to, if you know enough about it, if you know the fundamentals, then you are able to kind of think by yourself within that framework. I was doing that and having a lot of success. For me, it was obvious that it was the only way. So I thought about it, and let's say that when I was even younger, I was reading the book of quotation. So the Larousse, the dictionary of all of the quotes, the most important quotes in the world. If you read that kind of quotes, and it's a very thick dictionary, I still have it. If you read those quotes, you learn a lot about the world. You learn a lot about how people from did decide to become a liar and how that turned out when they are 50, 60, 70 years old. So I did look a lot of what are people becoming based on their choice. And let's say that I will stay at Canadian Space Agency, for example, then it's a great life. It's a perfect life. It's perfect. But at some point, you die. That's what I want to do. That's where I want to be. So basically, the only solution was for me to start Montreal AI. And the only technology that is going to be able to solve that and that kind of problem and so on, that kind of problem for society, also for governance and so on, is going to be the AI, is going to be statistical physics, game theory, energy-based model, and so on, Gibbs for energy. So I decided to just do that. So that was my decision to start Montreal AI. I did not want to do anything else. I never worked for nobody in my life. I never took that kind of funding, things like that. So I own it. I own Montreal AI 100%. And for me, it was very important because if you don't take funding, you don't take grants, never took grants from government and things like that. Because I think just filling those forms, it's kind of reduce your energy. And it's important that's in scientific research that you can fully explore kind of open-endedness, kind of you can do everything that because you don't really know what could become important later. And if you say to people that you because of your funding that you cannot do that or you have other obligation, then you cannot do that. So it's really bad. That's why the other company and so on are not able to do what I can do because they have obligation. They raise a lot of money, for example. So with that kind of money come with responsibilities and so on, constraint and so on. But I don't have that kind of constraint. I can really do anything. And this is the positioning that I wanted to be. Because I knew that at some point AI will be starting to work. I mean, I even knew like 30, 20 years ago exactly how much energy, how much compute power, and so on it will take, how much the kind of resource it will take. Just I wasn't able to get those resources at the time. Well, I tried, of course, but I wasn't able to get those resources myself at the time. Of course, I did try a lot, but it was not possible to get them. But now we have that kind of large language model and so on. Right now, people are starting to see what I saw 20, 30 years ago. And humanity is going through the same phase that I was going, of course, when creating Montreal AI and when I was abandoned in foster family at age 8. So humanity don't have experience at doing that, but I do. AI gave me that kind of power and resources to be able to contribute and to be able pretty much to do anything.
It seems clear why you want to have ownership, why you don't want the money, let's say, or the pursuit of the money to fund your pursuits to control the project. You want control. And I think every entrepreneur out there that's listening can relate to that. Let's fast forward then many years. A big name that everybody's heard of in AI is OpenAI. And you were creating reinforcement learning agents that actually topped the OpenAI gym leaderboard. So, as we know from current headlines, the best of the best, let's say, was OpenAI getting solicited for hundreds of millions of dollars by Meta, for example. The talent that's over there, the talent pool is extremely valuable. and yet you're crushing these guys in the OpenAI gym leaderboard. I'm curious to know, what was the single most important lesson you took away from building those agents over at OpenAI? And what does that tell us about how intelligence actually scales?
Well, the most important lesson, for example, there were some problem that OpenAI Jim that kind of nobody was able to solve. They were the safety problem. So kind of most important problem, I think. I mean, very important that AI is aligned with humanity, and nobody was able to solve that kind of problem. And the way I did solve that was just using the same agent that I was using for the other problem, but letting them run longer on the laptop. Some other people, they were trying and they were seeing kind of zero progress. It was, the score was zero. It was not moving. But then it was zero for a long time. I let it run, but then boom, 100, one shot. This is AI. It's still learning. It's not because you don't observe it that it's not learning. It was still learning and reconfiguring it and so on, the connection and so on. It was still trying to do it. And what I saw on the OpenAI gym was that people, they want a success way too fast. Most people have some kind of right approach. So most people were, we know those AI algorithms, they are out there. So we all know the same, but we have different conviction. We have different experience, and that changes everything. It's like when you train a neural network, just to fine tune it when back then, what, 20, 30 years ago, you have to have the parameter to have them very, very precise in some way. If not, it won't work at all. If you know the exact, with extreme precision, those parameters, if you give it enough time, then kind of success is guaranteed. You can get anything. I know that because I've seen it from experience. And the weakness of other people that are newer and so on, the people that are motivated by money and that don't take the time, that have no real genuine interest, they will try things, they will try the same algorithm basically, but they won't care enough to know the right way to use it. Also, it's a question, sometimes it's like in physics. Sometimes in physics you have problem about planetary problem, it's better in spherical coordinate than in Cartesian coordinate. So you have problem that Cartesian coordinate are fine, most of problem that we have, but in the universe, most of the thing may be spherical coordinate. It made so the representation that you have, the perception, that how you frame the problem, it changes everything. So perception, if you care, it's really important. And if you care, of course, you will be able to spend a lot of time. So that's what differentiates me from kind of everybody else, because nobody did what I did with my life. Nobody that was competent to have that kind of high level job that will pay a lot of money decide to just start kind of Montreal AI from scratch and having no support at all for kind of 10 years, 20 years, whatever. And I did that 10 years before also for my training. So nobody does that. Everybody wants to get the best money and things that they can get in the short term to life and optimize for that. So that's what differentiates me from everyone. So I did work on those problems very early and I kept at them. So that's why we are in society right now. If you know what I know, for me, what is going to happen, I can predict very precisely what's going to happen. And this is where I want it to be. If you can predict that, if you have, of course, the same framework, game theory, physics, energy-based model, and so on, and now you have agents, you can infuse that knowledge to agents, then you can really do a lot. You can change the world. I mean, you can change the universe. So this is what I wanted, because I think this is why I did the compete in the OpenAI gym and so on, because it allowed me to train, it allowed me to test those things and so on to see, and it allows me to see that they are working very well. So it was important to have a benchmark. So now I know where the level of these other people is, what is their level, and let's say that I know everything they know, but they stop at some point. They stop at the present. They have no sense where things are going, which is very bad. Because I think the most important things is to know where things are going. If you are able to predict the future, like I did with the Montreal AI, the multi-agent AI DAO, the 8th of August 2017. So it was kind of 8 years from now. And I was able to predict basically what is the most important things like ever right now, which is AGI agent basically on the blockchain, because AGI agent on the blockchain is kind of the only way to have safety and to have them own resources and so on. So This is where I wanted to be. But this is just the beginning. Because what I'm able to do myself, being able to predict kind of the future, where it's going, predict the biggest alpha ever. This is why I started AG Alpha, because now I have a system to do that. So I did pioneer recently meta agentic research, which is the most powerful way to predict the future. What I know how to do, now I have a system, AGI, ASI, that is becoming extremely powerful and can allow to do what I do in a way that is maybe 10,000 times better and way beyond that. I'm just doing what I've always been doing. But right now I have more tools, which is extremely great. So I feel a great energy. And now I have society that is starting to see what I saw, because we're at the time where those things are starting to work.
That was fantastic. Thank you. So, your unique background and your desire to, let's say, approach these problems in a different way than other people, being unbound from, let's say, the pursuit of money or just looking at the present and looking at the future, seems to have given you an advantage versus others that have approached AI. And so I want to dig in there and understand your big ideas. So everybody's throwing out terms. I know you have heard the commentary. They talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence. They talk about ASI, artificial super intelligence. And there's a wide range of what that is, how it's going to impact the world that people talk about. So I want to know, in your opinion, since you're so future looking, what is super intelligence? And how do you see us going from, let's say, whatever we have today toward ASI?
The way I see that is it's mostly about economic value. I mean, let's start with AGI because people are start talking about that a little bit. For me, AGI is general intelligence that is able to produce an economic output that is kind of the same as a human being. And why we did launch, why we are launching AGI jobs right now. The decisive moment was when last July, about a month ago, you have that kind of large language model that did not have access to internet or any kind of tools. They were able to win gold medal at the International Mathematical Olympiad. This was the moment that was, according to the expert and so on, this was the moment that when we would have kind of some level of AGI, where it's starting. Because right now we have models that are better than that because you use LLMs. Those models didn't win the gold medal without tools, without internet access. But if you use those models right now, they have internet access. Of course, they are better. And they can reason and they can have access to tools. So that means that what people already have in their hands is already models that are better than these models that were extremely good already, winning the gold medals. So that means that if you are careful enough, if you care enough, you are able to do that kind of models, being able to do some kind of human jobs, particularly the jobs that use a keyboard and a mouse, watching a screen. And you have a lot of value that is creating already by humanity doing that. You have kind of 100 trillion a year of wealth or of salary, utility, or whatever. You have 100 trillion a year of value that are created by people using a keyboard and a mouse and watching a screen. And in 2017, Greg Brockman, the president of OpenAI, contacted me to test OpenAI Universe. So you have OpenAI Gym, then they release OpenAI Universe, which is the kind of environment where you have an agent watching a screen using a keyboard and a mouse. And I was the very first alpha tester in the world of that system. So that system that we are going to use for AGI jobs, for example, we could use any kind of system, but that system is kind of useful as a start. Is kind of we need to already start having AGI agent delivering value. And when that start, that will go most likely very, very, very fast because we are riding the exponential of AI progress, which is growing extremely rapidly. You can see that progress kind of almost every day or every week. So that means that if we are able to maybe do 10% of those jobs right now, which will be 10 trillion a year, which is a great market to have as a start. It won't be long, I think, that we will reach maybe you have the 80-20% rule usually. So we will like to do 80% of that kind of jobs that use a keyboard and a mouse and watching a screen to deliver an output. I think it won't be long before we reach that. So that's why it's the first alpha of AG Alpha is really to launch AGI jobs and doing it right now. It's truly important because you won't have that opportunity for long. I mean, it's like it's there, 100 trillion a year is there now, but it's going to vanish. When you will hire an AGI agent, you will pay less than you pay a human being. Of course, this is what you want. You want to have a highest return on investment on your money, and you will have an AGI agent that will do the job, will do it flawlessly. It will be validated, and you will have paid less. And gradually in time, you will pay less and less and less because the market will go there. This is not why I created AGI job.
So you mentioned the mouse and keyboard worker, me included. All of my staff in my company are included in that. That's obviously a $1 trillion market.
Well, it's 100 trillion.
Oh, sorry, $100 trillion market. Perfect. I've got a lot more capital that we can capture here. This is a huge part of what we view as being maybe the infrastructure of the world. And this idea has come out recently that human capital is infrastructure. And I've heard you say intelligence is infrastructure. And so I'm curious to know how you view those two things being side by side. When you say intelligence is infrastructure, do you mean both human intelligence and artificial intelligence? And if you treat something like intelligence as infrastructure rather than just like a tool and a piece of software, how does that change our society?
I think it doesn't change it. This is why I want to see it that way. It just changed the range of possibilities. And this is what I wanted. This is why I deploy AGI jobs. Because you can essentially keep the same structure of society as we have right now. So right now you have people that are doing the work and they get paid. Where it's moving is that you will have gradually a hybrid system where you have humans and AGI agents that are doing the work and get paid. And that will flow into a transition where you will have most of the work being done by AGI agent with some human coordinating and so on, or owning them. The fact is that AGI jobs allow to keep the same societal structure that we have, which is great, but it gives much, much more leverage to when you do work, you can accomplish much, much more. That means that you can create much, much more utility, much, much more good. And you will have, like Sam Altman said, you will have maybe people that have 1% company that is what, maybe 1 billion. That's coming very soon. And maybe I will be the first, I don't know. So that's extremely empowering to entrepreneur. That means that you will be able to do much, much more. Still keeping the same structure for society, still keeping what you know, but you will have access to much more. You will have much, much more in your life. And for me, that's why I did love so much the OpenAI gym, because I was watching AI agent learning on environments. I was deploying an AI agent from scratch, and it was learning, for example, the bipedal walker, learning to walk. And it's so fantastic to watch that. Now it's the same, but it's to do real work. And well, I love to see them progress, of course. But what I love more is that they can reach levels that are way beyond, they can surprise us in a very good way. Well, we still have to mitigate the other ways, but you can do that with, of course, game theory and the blockchain. We can get at that later. But they can surprise you, they can make new discovery. So they can make new scientific discovery. So basically, you can cure disease, you can cure aging, and so on. You can discover new science, you can advance society a lot. So AGI jobs, why I did start it, it's because it allows society to progress without limits. Because at some point, you will even have the system that is already deployed, AGI job, is usable by all sentient beings. So it's usable by humans, or AGI agent will able to post jobs for other AGI agents. And if one day you want to build a Dyson sphere around the sun, for example, that could be an AGI job. So the platform that I'm building with AGI job will be able to handle that kind of work. So it's unlimited in terms. It's a tool. It says what I call it. It's a civilizational tool that you can build civilization with it. And for me, that was important. And that's yield to allow us to transition from AGI, which is general intelligence, at the level of human being able to do some usable work. That's why we are deploying first AGI job. We are not deploying ASI job yet. I don't even know if ASI job will be a thing, because there is a vision where we are deploying AGI with that kind of tools that we will get so far with it that even me cannot see where it will be, because deploying AGI jobs and AGI-Alpha will take us so far. So Stuart Russell was giving a testimony in the White House 2 years ago, and he said that AGI is going to create 15 quadrillion. USD in terms of value, in terms of utility. So that's 20 times the amount of wealth that has been created so far by humanity. So that's a conservative estimate. So Stuart Russell is highly conservative. So I think we're going to create much more, but just that is enough to see that the possibility. But Elon Musk said recently that ASI could create 1 million times what humanity has created so far. So this is the difference in magnitude between AGI at 20 times the amount of wealth ever created to ASI 1 million times. And those numbers are approximative, but I mean, ASI is basically God level AI. So Elon Musk put a number there, but could be 1 billion. You don't have a limit to ASI. And of course, the ultimate purpose is ASI. So this is what I wanted when I was younger. So this is the level where you fully take advantage of the universe. You are fully aware of the universe. You can travel with it. You can whatever concept. Because I was finding that very limiting that we only have five senses to see the world. Like we see, we hear, and so on. We smell. But even when we see the wavelength that are limited for 400 nanometer to 800 nanometer. So we don't see much. And I'm pretty sure you have much, much more than five sensors that should exist. Maybe 10,000 of them, I don't know. But we will know. And what I want is really to experience them. So I'm a little bit like the other human being, if you, in a way, well, I'm identical to them, but it's just that I have another perspective. Other human beings are more short terms. They want to make as much money as possible with less time as possible, to travel and things like that, experience the world. I want that, but instead I want to experience the universe. And probably it's because I was put in foster family. I was abandoned at age 8, where the only thing that I had was the universe, was the stars. So maybe this is why the human value did not impregnate too much on me. I see that as an enormous advantage right now, because ultimately what is important is the universe.
I love your perspective because of your background and because of you wanting to be a part of the universe. I think that helps you see artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence as not just being some sort of zero sum game, which I think a lot of people talk about it in those terms, or it's going to take away jobs or it's going to remove value from society. You just outlined two range of outcomes, maybe from 20xing the total value we can capture to maybe 100 million xing the total value we can capture. And that type of foresight that you have is, I think, valuable. And so you came up with this really interesting concept, or you're working on this, where you see the foresight itself to see ahead as being something like a financeable asset with Nova seeds. I'm curious to know how how is the ability to trade and fund foresight itself? Because in the past, it's like you could fund a company that maybe has foresight and is building tools and products toward that. How do you see the ability to fund foresight itself just reshaping what happens in the world?
Well, I think if the foresight is good, it's highly valuable. And I agree that in the past, foresight or ideas were maybe not so valuable. I mean, it's kind of every human can have every ideas. They are all kind of out there, so not so valuable. So I would put zero value on them, and I agree that you will not sell them. But we are entering in a phase where, at this point, nobody knows where the world is going, particularly with AGI or even less in ASI. And the opportunities of AGI and ASI are enormous. And we are entering a world also where the ability to predict that future is not the same. You will have tools like AGI agents, AGI-Alpha agents, that is designed to predict that future. Those predictions are going to be extremely, extremely, extremely exact, extremely also novel, and extremely valuable. So they are not the same. AGI Alpha agent will be able to see much, much more, way farther, discover real new possibilities, real new science, real new discoveries, and so on. It's like if you would find, for example, a cure for cancer, then I would say that alpha, if it cure all cancer in the world, that alpha is valuable. You could sell that. If you come with, for example, you did not add the blockchain or the metaverse a century ago, so that was invented recently because of new society, a societal structure. So if you come up with that kind of new concept that are like blockchain or like metaverse, but new, something truly new, not something that is completely orthogonal, completely new. But that is more important than blockchain or metaverse and so on. That is more fundamental to society, or that is even more fundamental to the society where it will be maybe in 6 months from now. If you come up with that, that could be worth a lot more than curing cancer and so on. Because at some point, all of the diseases are cured. Everybody lives forever. What do you do in that society? Well, Nick Bostrom wrote a book, and it's very nice, Deep Utopia, but it stopped there. Nick Bostrom is extremely fine. It's the best. It's the best. I love him. But it stopped there. So I'm trying to see beyond. This is why we have AGI Alpha. And that kind of alpha, if you find that kind of new business opportunities, new opportunities that don't even have to be a business, will be a business most likely because this is a structure that we have right now, and we want to keep operating kind of the same structure or better. Could be a business that is worth 20 trillion, that you find that alpha is maybe worth fully deployed at 20 trillion. The ability that we have by using that kind of AGI alpha agents that use game theory, physics, and so on, when you create a nova seed from that insight, it's not only the idea, it also comes with the fusion plan, the DNA of that idea. So it's like a seed. That's why we call it a nova seed, which could become a supernova if it succeeds. But it comes with the plan on how it will unfold if you deploy it. It comes with the plan, and that plan include what kind of jobs you will need to deploy on the AGI job board to operate that business or to deploy that opportunity, and so on, the financial projection, expectation, and so on. So it comes with everything in that seed. So it's not only an idea, it comes with everything, every assessment, and the kind of assessment that are produced by AGI agent, way beyond that kind of assessment that are done by the best firm on Wall Street and so on. So you get something that is truly valuable. You get something that is solid. So this is the concept for the Nova Seeds. So if you have that kind of things that is worth so much because it's a cure for the cancer or it's a business worth fully deployed maybe 20 trillion or more, then you can sell that. Well, I will not advise selling it. I will advise deploying it because you have nothing to do. You just have to plant that seed and it's deployed AGI jobs and so on and operate by itself. So I will not advise to sell that. But if you want to sell that, of course, you sell that on the alpha mark. It's a marketplace like Polymarket, which people are betting. So the price is decided by the market. So, and the market will have that information to take the decision. I will not advise to sell it, but this is the concept for the alpha nova seed. And it comes also from my observation of nature. So the way we get AGI alpha inside, the way it's operated, an algorithm that is meta-agentic research, which I did pioneer, which is the ultimate way to predict the future. So the tree search, it sounds like a tree. So you have branching. It's like a Monte Carlo tree search. It's like a tree. It's like a flower. And the way you can see is that you see the flower, you see the trees, and it's like they are growing to capture the sun, the sunlight, the power. Now our algorithm is growing to capture kind of the best utility ever, the best light, if we can see. But it's still like a tree, like a plant. And the way the Nova Seed came to existence is that how does a flower communicate with us, with the animal realm? Well, it's via the pollens. It's via a seed. Well, that seed contains everything about the opportunity, the future opportunity of that flower. Because I wanted to go from the research, from the AG Alpha Insight to the reality. So from the idea to the reality. And this is how I came with the idea of the Nova Seed, because nature has been evolving for billions of years. And a lot of good things have been developed, a lot of good algorithm has been developed. So I see what nature have been doing. I get inspired by it. And of course it's aligned. It's aligned with Boltzmann machine. Of course it's aligned with physics and so on. It's the same thing. If the theory that we have is good, it's the same thing that the universe has been doing. And it explains it. So the structure that we have is the same structure as we have with the plants that are going from the plants to the animal realm. And the animal realm, what they do, well, they are based on game theory, which is the alpha AGI business. So you use that seed to deploy a business. And this is the link between those two worlds. Now there might be another world where it's just where we go from animal to kind of God level, which is ASI, which I'm working on it right now. I have some clues about it. But the way I see that is that I need to fully deploy AGI-Alpha, AGI, and that will give us the tools to be able to foresee what is ASI, God level. So I might get there anytime by myself, of course. But if I don't, then we have that kind of tools that will get us there. But I could get there by myself anytime.
I like how you're inspired by nature, and some of the best ideas in business and science and innovation with humanity draws from nature, the universe, let's call it. And I know that's what you want to be a part of. And then build systems that can function using humanity's capital. And I love that you've got AGI Alpha, sort of the ultimate alpha searching agent. You can sort of fund, if you will, this foresight in this crypto sealed financial asset with Nova Seeds. All of this might seem really high level and might seem really out there for a lot of people listening to this, but your foresight is a big reason why you've been successful. So let me just bring this down to earth for a moment. You mentioned jobs solution through AGI Alpha. So as an enterprise or as a job seeker, let's see, or say, or contributor, help us understand in maybe real terms, how would this job solution help an enterprise or help a job seeker reach meaningful opportunities or get meaningful resources to help their organization or to help themselves?
You have two entities. You have the individual and the organization. So, of course, for the individuals, it's extremely empowering because if you already work for an organization or you do some work, then you have more tools at your disposal to leverage yourself. So, some part of your job you should not do because you are not the best at doing it. It's a waste of your time. You can delegate to AGI jobs, they will happily do that. So it's extremely empowering, but it doesn't stop there. If you just want to do some work, you can do much more. But if you want to go from doing some consulting work or things like that to maybe owning a business yourself, then you will be able to do that because you will have that kind of power through the AGI jobs. You will have that kind of leverage. And for enterprise, they are already giving jobs to employee or to consultant and so on. Now they will be able to have better quality. You will give jobs to AGI job, which is the hybrid of human and AGI job. And at some point, as an enterprise, maybe you have something that no humans can do. That's happened. And that will happen more and more. You want that job done, but no human can deliver. Then you give it to AGI jobs. This is why it has been conceived. It has been conceived to do that kind of jobs. Well, at the short term, of course, it will do. We want to get a large part of the 100 trillion a year, of course, because why not? It's good to have money also, to have resources and so on. It's very good to have that, so why not? But it has really been conceived to be able to do the kind of jobs that no human can do. If you are an enterprise, you want something to be done. You want a software. For example, when I do the interview with Mario Nafal and so on, a lot of people are talking about wanting using the blockchain in a way that the blockchain disappear. You don't feel the blockchain, but you have the benefit of it in terms of provenance and so on. I'm using AGI to code on the blockchain. And I'm designing things that nobody has done before. So it's like I don't even look right now at what other people have been doing on the blockchain. I just go straight to, for example, for the AGI jobs, I'm designing the interface. And what I would love, we know that ChatGPT has been highly successful. It's a simple interface. You have a text box. You enter something in the text box, you get a reply. Extreme success, extremely simple, user friendly, non technical. So I'm trying right now to come with a AGI job interface, which will be kind of the same as ChatGPT. You enter a text, but it will leverage the power of the blockchain and the AGI jobs with, of course, the humans also. If you come up with something like that, then there are no way that you are worthless than OpenAI, because then your text, your box, you are able to do anything. If you do that, you change society. You enter something into that box, if it's if you want it for free, you use OpenAI, of course. But if it's something that is really valuable that you want, let's say you are a consultant and you are paid something for that work, but now you can have that box that do a large fraction of that work, maybe for much less. Of course, you want to pay, let's say, something that get you a ROI of 10 or whatever. So if I'm designing that and nobody has done it before, making kind of the blockchain disappear while all of the incentive are there for our validator and so on, then you create something that nobody has done before, and it's highly valuable. So for enterprise, I see creating that kind of software and tools that they always wanted, but they were not able to get that. And you have no limits to the job that you can post. So maybe you will post some jobs. Maybe no agent is able to do it right now. That will happen, of course. We are just getting started. But maybe you will post the same jobs a week later or 3 months later, and that will be doable for a cost that is irresistible to you. So you have two entities. The individual will get empowered, and the corporation will get much, much more, will get anything. And that kind of AGI jobs will be governed to the perfection. So AGI job is not just about, let's say, expanding the concept of jobs. It's also about solving governance. I think both comes together when you operate something at civilization grade. You have to have the AGI job and you have to have the governance. Sometimes you will have situation where even if everything is optimized and flawless, you always have friction when you do something real. So the governance will ensure that it's managed in a way that is optimal, completely automatically, completely on-chain, completely transparently also. So it's like society, but in a way that is optimal and completely transparent.
So perhaps in the way that you're describing it, OpenAI or ChatGPT, I use it all day, every day, is like maybe the ultimate tool for a worker to use to get work done. But you're describing the solutions that AGI Alpha is creating as being a paradigm shift for, let's say, getting work done in general and a marketplace for that, and even foreseeing problems that humanity can't even see. And so I'm just curious to know, with this sort of paradigm shifting idea, how do you see AGI Alpha disrupting even the way we define a job in this case, or even the way we define a firm? If you can go to this AI platform that can foresee opportunities that humans couldn't see and present solutions with artificial intelligence and human intelligence, does this disrupt the way we think about these basic building blocks of our society, like a job and a firm?
Of course, the answer is yes, but we try to keep it in a way that is like the human has been trained. So of course it's completely disrupting that, but we are not seeing that right now. I mean, you can still see that it's the same. You can see that if you keep that referential, if you keep that perspective, a human will still be able to operate and to leverage that and to use it. So for most human, they won't change their perspective, and that will be perfectly fine. They will be empowered in that system. They need to be empowered. They need to be able to earn a living. They need to be able to run business and so on. So they can live and they can get a lot from that system because it's not a zero sum game. It's empowering, it's creating value. But you will have other people or other agents, or let's say other sentient beings, that want much, much more than that. And of course, the system is disrupted. So there are no doubts about that. And the most important thing is if it's disrupted is to know where it's going and to know it in a way that is very robust and trustworthy. So this is why we have AG Alpha, because you will understand the decision of AG Alpha. They will make sense to you. Right? Of course, you will have to spend, for some of them, you will have to spend a lot of energy and time, but you can always ask other agent to summarize them to you. But the fact is that the universe is not like people think it is. And I think this is a good thing. And now we will be dealing with the universe. And I think it's very important to deal with the reality as it is. And it's extremely, extremely different. So now we'll have to do that. But of course, it's everything has changed. And I think this is what I wanted. So it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing.
If AGI Alpha could only achieve one long term outcome for humanity, What would you want it to be and why?
It's predicting the future. So it's re-answering that when you have prediction, when you eliminate the space of possibilities, when you know where it's going, it's a good feeling. So if we could give to humanity a kind of map of where things are going in a way that is interpretable, that is trustworthy, that is meaningful, I think it will be an extremely great gift to give to humanity that doesn't know where things are going. So if you give the gift of kind of certainty, I mean, it's a great gift to have.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you. I've listened to hundreds of podcasts that have some version of warning about safety risks with AI, job loss with AI, Terminator coming to kill your family. I'm sure you've heard every version of this too. So let's imagine right now we have the ear of every AI pessimist on Earth. What's the one thing that you would want to tell them?
That I did solve that, and they are not aware about it. And I understand why, because they need funding, they need a reason to exist, and so on. They don't want to see. Those are people that operate, that need government funding. They want to make the government very afraid to ensure that they get the funding so that they don't become irrelevant themselves. But the reality is that the solution exists, and I did create it. It's on our GitHub. It's a ASI-Alpha governance. And the way you do that is that simply that you need the blockchain. And most of those people that you will see that talk badly about the AI, the AGI and so on, they don't like the blockchain at all. They dislike it. But the solution is the blockchain, because the blockchain allows you to align incentive. So it allows you to enforce game theory and so on. If you enforce game theory with some kind of principle that I have in the paper, like Hamiltonians and so on, energy-based models, you're able to prove that you can have any kind of level of AGI or ASI agent that can coexist together with humans, and they will cooperate. And the blockchain is able to enforce that. So we already have a solution. And I just spent 2 days on that problem. So they are just not aware. They don't want to mention that solution because that make them completely irrelevant, which is fine in that case.
I'm curious to know how much economic activity will AGI Alpha Jobs platform capture in 10 years?
Let's go 100 trillion.
Why 100 trillion? That's a giant number.
Well, we have already 100 trillion a year of the market of people using a keyboard and a mouse watching a screen. It's already 100 trillion a year. So in 10 years, that opportunity won't exist anymore, but you will have much other opportunity. So I'm giving a conservative prediction that is 100 trillion in 10
100
years.
trillion is a conservative prediction. Is that because you believe that the total market will expand massively due to AGI and then potentially ASI?
It will expand massively, but also there are no ways that the way that the work is working presently is going to continue. It's like you have something that is so good, AGI jobs, that is so good, that is so well designed, that is so optimal, and the time has come. We have the AGI agents that are getting extremely better. So there are no ways that the current system don't transition to AGI jobs.
Great answer. Thank you. 100 trillion, that works for me. In what year will we see, I'm using air quotes, true AGI?
Well, it's just not evenly distributed. So I might already have true AGI, but not the rest of the world. So I'm able to do that. I have it right now. But let's say that the year it will be, it takes some time to propagate and so on. So it's a difficult question. It's dependent on which fraction of the world have AGI we decide to say that we have true AGI. But I will say between 2028, 2030, the time for it to propagate, because you will have some kind of disruption happening and so on. We have to give the time for that. So let's say 3 to 5 years from now, let's say most of the world will have access to that
So
meaningfully.
most of the world has to have access to true AGI in order for it to be true AGI by your definition. Is that fair to say?
Well, it's depend on your definition, but for me, I already have it. I already have it, but I have it, but nobody else have it. So we have true AGI when you have true AGI. If you don't have it, then it's bad. So that's why I'm stating that we have true AGI when most of the world have access meaningfully to true AGI, and giving the time to propagate that, given the societal change that are going to come, let's say 3 to 5 years from now.
In what year then will we see ASI or superintelligence?
The year that I will decide. I could already have ASI right now if I wanted to. The fact is, I'm just taking some time to make sure that we deploy that in a way that is extremely good. So that's why I'm taking the necessary time to deploy that one.
The way you
So
answer that question, you make it sound like you've got, a genie in a lamp and you just need to rub the side of the lamp and the ASI comes out. Do you care to speak to that a little bit more of you could already have it?
if I decide that I wanted it, I know how to do it.
And what do you need to see falling into place for you to feel comfortable enough for you to want it?
We'll need to complete a little bit more about the framework of ASI governance. To maybe we'll have to work 10 days on that, just to make sure that running some simulation and so on, just to make sure that it's extremely good. It's God level AI, so there are nothing you can't do with that. And so I'm just taking a little bit of time to make sure that it's extremely in our favor, and I think it is. But I just want to make sure. And anyway, it's not like I'm dying or I have. Let's see. From my perspective, I have all the time in the world. I have the luxury to let time go and so on. I have the luxury to deploy things when I want. And like I said, I have no pressure from anyone. I own everything, and that's it. So this is the advantage to be in my position compared to other company that have stakeholder and so on. So I can wait until it's the right moment to do that. But let's say that I will have a cancer and so on, and I will need it, then I'll just use it. But I'm in very good shape.
That's a follow up interview. We've got to talk about superintelligence in the next one. Let me ask you a more specific question then. The concept of getting alpha compliance, sort of like the AGI alpha stamp of approval as a standard of excellence, which industry do you see maybe adopting the AGI alpha compliance as a standard?
All of them. You will need that in the future because it's a risky business to deploy a business that you don't know where it's going. Like right now, the best business, they use some firms to have assessment and so on, but they are not so good. In the future, I think for people to invest or to collaborate with a business or to deal with a business, I think it will be great that that business, we know where it's going. We know every aspect about it, that it will be there, it will take care of you, and so on, because it's a business that is good. So I don't see why you will not have that. I mean, it will make a huge difference.
Active validators is important to have for AGI Alpha. In 12 months from now, how many active validators do you see AGI Alpha having?
Well, we already have some, like 50. It's depend on a lot of things, but between 500 to 50,000, let's say.
So you're saying 10x, 100x from here, you see massive growth. Is that fair to say?
Definitively.
Beautiful. All right, here's a tough one. In one word, AGI Alpha's role in history is
Catalyst.
interesting.
We are making things happen faster and in a way that is decisive and in the right way. So it's a catalyst to, well, humanity could explore, waste a lot of time, waste a lot of resources, or you can just do the right thing immediately because you see, you have a map of the future and you understand it. So I will call that a catalyst. It's like in chemistry, it reduces the energy barrier toward the future.
Great answer. Here's another hard one. Finish this sentence. Intelligence is the new.
Capital.
How do you mean with capital? Investable asset? Is that what you mean by capital, or do you mean
Yes,
capital in a greater sense?
let's say that you add money. Now it's becoming less important. The equivalent of money that give you the ability to function in society, to function in the world or in the universe, will be AI. So AI is the most valuable assets. If you know about AI, if you have AI, if you have AGI agents that are doing jobs for you, if you have processing power, AI is the new capital. It's much more important than money. And Sam Altman was stating that also, the way that money could become the money is just a specific case of capital. AI is the true power. It's give you true capabilities.
So if AGI Alpha succeeds, what is the single biggest disruption the world will feel first?
I don't see disruption. Disruption is happening, but every day it's happening gradually. I don't see a I don't see a sudden disruption. I see the world transitioning from now to AGI to ASI in a way that is on an exponential, but in a way that is very smooth. So I don't see disruption.
You don't buy
So
into the job displacement, universal basic income, giant cataclysmic human capital narrative then. If you see a
well, universal
curve,
basic income, I don't believe in it, and I don't think it's good. I think people should have purpose in their life. I think people should continue what they are doing, but they are able to do more. So AGI jobs is the cure to universal basic income. You don't need to take other people's money. Well, let's say that you have universal basic income. Then the people that receive it, I mean, they don't have sense in their life anymore. They are doing nothing, they are receiving it. It's bad for everyone. If we continue like we are going, like people are working, you are empowering people with great tools. Then people are earning income, they are empowered, and everybody is happy. Do I see job displacement? I mean, bad jobs will go away. You have people that will truly build things, that will do things they love. So I see job displacement, but it's a good thing. It's displacing to you becoming everything that you want to be. So, so the solution that I'm presenting to the world is a solution that solve everything that the doomer want the government that solve everything. And I have solution for every of their points anyway.
this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you for your time. I'd love to
But
give you the final word. What's one final thought you'd like to leave all of our listeners with?
well, I think what is important for the future is open-endedness, and I think it's just to have a just to believe in the future. Just a person that I was reading was William James, and essentially, your belief will create your reality. So if you believe in AI, if you believe in you, you should invest in you. So it's the best thing ever. So you should really truly believe in you. So this is what made all of the difference in my life. At age 8, I was abandoned, and then I believe in me, believe in the universe. And if you have that true belief, it's change everything.
Thank you. Everyone, if you've been inspired by Vincent's words, if any of these concepts sound interesting to you, go to AGI Alpha's website. There's beautiful diagrams, summaries, even deep dives for gigabrains if you want to go into the white paper for you to discover more of the how it works behind AGI Alpha. Thank you so much for your time, Vincent. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was an incredible interview. Let's do it again.
Let's do it. I'm ready for episode 2. I've got to dive into that super intelligent stuff you're talking about. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I have a great book about this one.
Do you?
Yes, by Nick Bostrom. So this book is well, we have an version on the screen, but Super Intelligence by Nick Bostrom. And so this is what. So he was mentioning that the transition from the economy of work to what's come next is the decisive moment. And the experts were, so it's a book from 2014, and they were predicting that it will happen by the end of the century. But that's happening now. So this is why all of these experts, they are not prepared, because they were all wrong in their prediction, but I was right. So that's why it take everyone by surprise. They are not prepared at all. So they have not been advising their government properly. They said that that will happen at the end of the century. Who are you going to trust? The best expert in the world or AG Alpha?